Hello and welcome to the Trash Talk Podcast. I am your host, Jason, and today I have Sergey.
Hello.
Today, we're gonna have one completely original topic that we totally didn't steal from the internet, and that is, we're taking stories that we have consumed one way or another, like TV shows, movies, books, mostly TV shows, because, that's what we consume the most. And we're gonna each show the other person a TV show via like a title and I think we have preview images for all of them as well, like posters and whatnot, and have the other one guess what it's all about. And then we're gonna take turns, and that's how we do that. I guess
Sounds reasonable.
I'm gonna volunteer to go first, and I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm tempted to start you off with possibly the most difficult one first, but I should probably find something a little bit more reasonable.
I mean, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna guess. My guess is gonna be completely off anyway. It's gonna be totally horrible either way. So,
I mean, it's almost the hope, though, isn't it? Right? Like,
I mean, yeah. That's kind of the fun of it.
Okay,
maybe. I don't know. Haven't tried it yet.
The first one is something that is... Okay, so first of all, we haven't talked about whether or not we actually have seen those things, so... Well, at least whether Sergey has seen the ones that I'm going to talk about. So, if you've seen this already, I have some backups. The first one is actually two movies, technically. One is called Suicide Squad, the other one's called The Suicide Squad. And, do you have any idea what happens in this? So, this is the movie poster for Suicide Squad, and we're gonna see if you want any more information.
I have seen a couple long video essays on these movies, comparing these two.
Have an idea what happens?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't exactly remember like all the plot points because the videos just said the word. How come I already forgot it? Video essays didn't go into as much detail as the movies probably did. But yeah, I know the general plot points.
Which is kind of sad, because the poster for The Suicide Squad actually had the tagline, "They're dying to save the world," which is a really good pun, and I would have thought that maybe that could help.
Yep.
Okay, this one was the most likely that you were going to know, to be fair. Let's go to something a little more difficult. This is a poster for, more precisely, the second season of a TV show called Altered Carbon. I mostly chose this over the first season one because it was rather evocative. Just poster-wise.
I think the only thing I've seen from this is the trailer, like one of the trailers for the first season.
Okay.
From what I can remember, it's like a dystopian future type of story.
Yes.
From what I saw in the trailer, it's the cinematography is relatively dark, so there's not much actual light, like actual light in the story.
That's
or like in the TV series.
Yeah, that's one of those things that really bugs me when, like, movies and TV shows do it a lot when they want to show, like, when they have a more dark theme, they oftentimes end up also just having very dark lighting. And I'm like, I can't tell what's going on. Just, dude, make it a bit brighter. For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Not going into that, but I think there is like quite a bit of police brutality there. Probably. I don't remember if the story is like about one person, like a single group, or like if it's multiple somewhat independent stories happening. I'm leaning more towards the single person, single group kind of thing. They are probably like some kind of, I don't know, criminals, or at least considered criminals in the system they have there, on the hideout, running around places, trying to escape the system or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's say
that's all I've got.
This show has a technology gimmick, and I'm just, it's a cyberpunk type story, and, I want you to maybe have a guess of what the technology could be that the story centers around. Let's try that.
I mean, cyberpunk, probably bodily modifications of all kinds.
Okay. They do, yes, they do exist for sure, but that's not the main thing. Okay, so, Altered Carbon is a cyberpunk series that's like the genre, if you will. So, they might also classify that sci-fi because it's genre discussion was another podcast. Watch that one if you're interested. So, Altered Carbon, the main thing is that there is a technology that they call stacks, which name doesn't really matter, which backs up effectively your entire brain onto like a thing that you have at the base of your neck, or at the base of your skull in your neck, and you can use that to transfer a mind into a different body. Like, they don't even have, it's not like they take them out and swap them in, like they literally just like scan them in, basically, override another one, sort of, and the universe, it's cyberpunk, so obviously there's huge wealth inequality, and so the first season is all about some rich guy getting killed, which is a big deal because they the rich, like, first of all, they're like incredibly old because they can, whenever they're dying, they just can get a new body, and they have like satellite backups and everything, so like it's almost impossible to actually like, permanently kill someone that's like really rich.
Yep.
And someone managed to do it anyways. So that's like the plot of the first episode, and our main character is actually, I don't know how to best explain like his whole background, but he basically is like a really well trained guy who is hired to solve that murder. He's been he's been deactivated for a while, basically. So since your mind doesn't need a body to survive, they can basically just like turn someone off. So he's been like, I think you call it spun down for a while, and like then like he comes back and he has to investigate his murder, and like his background is all like he has like different skills that other people don't have, also related to this, where it's like if he's in a simulation, which again his mind is basically digital like everyone, so like they can put him in simulation without having physical bodies, like he can like take control of the simulation and stuff like that, so he does have some skill set, and of course
basically Neo,
kind of, yeah. And yeah, that's what the first season especially revolves around a lot. It's not that he necessarily wants to help the guy, but also like, that's his way of, getting a body and being able to stick around. And that's what
maybe getting free.
Yeah, he's then after doing that kind of free, but it's a, are we all ever free?
Yeah.
Isn't society just a bigger cage, man? Sorry. So yeah, that is Altered Carbon. And yes, Anthony Mackie plays him in the second season. Another guy plays him in the first. Like, it's just sort of just have a different actor in the second season, because why not? Right? He can have a different body.
So, would you recommend this?
I actually enjoyed it. It only has 2 seasons.
Because that actually sounds rather cool. Yeah, I would want to watch that.
I intentionally didn't go too in depth of what happens later on.
Yep.
I figured they technically have 3 actors playing that character for the most part, because in flashbacks he has another body.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I think the body he gets in the first season, I think actually both of the ones he gets are the one he gets in the second season is specifically genetically engineered to be particularly good. The first one is just of an actual real person. It's also if you go to jail, they'll just take your body and throw you in digital jail, and then someone else is like just gets your body and shit like that. It's pretty.
I mean, that makes total sense in that universe.
Yeah, but also once you get out, you're not gonna get your original body back. Um,
I guess, yeah.
And the ones that I tend to get back are usually like the worst ones, right? Like where it's like, oh yeah, like the ones that are the least desirable. It's it's a whole mess.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to have me guess first?
So let's stay on the dystopian future kind of topic, and let's go with George Orwell's 1984.
1984 by George Orwell, the most famous dystopian future novel that, like, no one ever actually has read. Well, okay, people have read it, but so if people that haven't read it are to be believed, it is exactly like our world is right now. And yes, thank you. And
yeah,
the people that we're politically disagreeing with are the ones who are actually being the bad guys in this scenario. But of course, then people that actually have read the book will be like, well, actually, your comparisons are pretty shit. Anyways, I am one of those people who haven't read it. So let's get a crack at this just from like cultural sort of awareness. Okay, it's dystopian.
Yeah.
The government is evil and oppressive.
Yeah.
This is also done with Newspeak, right? Where like they have developed. Well, they really more just limited the vocabulary of the language. I guess trying to keep people in line, to have them toe the party line, in some sense. And let's see, I think it's a relatively generic dystopia, so we're thinking people are being suppressed in some way. I'm assuming there's probably either something that placates the people or some sort of hope of ascending into a higher class that actually has it better, but it turns out that it's actually fake, because that's usually how that happens. I mean, mostly thinking of The Island, but there was others with a similar concept. I'm thinking our protagonist is part of the lower class, or like the general populace, whatever you want to call that, opposed to like the, bureaucrats and whatever that actually have power. I mean, based on how old it is, the evil. I'm pretty sure I've heard also the bad guys of the government, and based on how old this is, it would probably be more like the government. In newer dystopia, it's usually like corporations that are acting as the government, but in this case, I think it's more straight up politicians. And I think it was based on fascism a little bit because it was written in the 40s. And was it literally written in 1948? Isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah.
And so I'm saying our protagonist is someone from the lower class, like the general population, who is like trying to fight the system. And well, there's usually one of two ways that ends. Either with a revolution or, and this was written in pretty dark times, so I'm going to go with probably not a happy ending. I'm going to say he probably ends up either just where he started or dead. And I'm saying he because it was written in the 40s. So our protagonist is definitely a guy. Our protagonist is a heterosexual, white, cisgendered man because it was written in the 40s.
Yeah. So I assume that's about it. What would you have to say on this?
If you want anything more specific, you're probably going to have to give me like you're either going to have to ask me a more specific question, or you're going to have to give me something to work with.
Okay. Okay, let's read the synopsis. Winston Smith works for the Ministry of Truth in London, chief city of Airstrip 1. Big Brother stares out from every poster. The thought police uncover every act of betrayal. When Winston finds love with Julia, he discovers that life does not have to be dull and deadening, and awakens to new possibilities. Despite the police helicopters that hover and circle overhead, Winston and Julia begin to question the party. They are drawn towards conspiracy. Yet Big Brother will not tolerate dissent, even in the mind. For those with original thoughts, they invented Room 101.
I kind of forgot that this is also the one where the whole Big Brother thing comes from. So yeah, observation is a big factor here. Big Brother is generally referring to, just generally like surveillance, like surveillance state. And I guess it goes one step further since I guess they know what people are thinking. So wait, do they actually know what people are thinking, or is it just because they're surveilling them so good that they might as well know?
It's the latter. They
figured
observe you like 24/7, like whole year round, like every day, every hour, every minute, because they have like that's also the one where the telescreens, basically flat screen TVs with cameras in them. It can look kind of both ways.
Screens. Oh,
yes, modern.
Wait a second. In the 40s, did we even have personal televisions back then? Like in the 40s?
Nope. I don't think so.
Because I'm pretty sure cinema existed, but I mean at that point maybe even silent films. Probably silent films. Yeah, I mean The Great Dictator was from around that time, so it would have probably been silent films. Yeah. Is it called The Great?
Maybe
the Chaplin one where he imitates Hitler.
I don't know. But yeah. So big flat screens in pretty much every single room from which the thought police can oversee everything inside the room. There's like no private spaces anywhere. They just monitor you, your actions, your facial expressions, all that, to basically infer what you're thinking. Like, rather if you're in line or not.
I mean, yeah, that makes more sense. I mean, again, I didn't expect them to be mind reading, especially. Like, that sounds totally like something that would be in a modern dystopia, maybe, but not necessarily in one from the 40s. I mean, everything you've said certainly is relatively grounded, actually. Like, the technology is not unreasonable, at least by our standards, and nothing, like, supernatural. I mean, dystopias are not necessarily known for supernatural effects, but like it sounds pretty believable, I guess. I mean, the amount of control to be actually like by the party, blah blah. Like that sounds like something that I'm not sure if like logistically would actually be able to happen, but in theory, it should be possible. I mean,
like with modern technologies, probably would, but like back in the day when it was written, most likely not.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that you could have implemented it then and there.
Yeah. But like the Ministry of Truth that Winston works in is like one of the three main institutes of the party. Them being Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Love, and Ministry of Peace.
Okay, so
all of them having to do with basically the opposite.
Yeah, I was about to say. So Truth is obviously about censorship.
The name is.
Yep. Wait, is Love about procreation? I don't know. What are they? Or is it like civil
torture?
Coherence? Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. That's also the one where the room 101 is.
Sensibly, yes.
Yeah.
101, that's a very low number. Yeah. As a matter of fact, in most buildings that just means floor 1, room 1. Which either
maybe, I don't know.
Not a lot of
the book doesn't really go into detail on that.
I mean, fair enough. There could be any number of reasons why it's called that, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta read this someday, right? Like, I mean, I should probably read that somewhat soon. I mean, it's not like it's difficult for me.
It is really good. I do recommend it. I have not finished it yet, but I am pretty far in the story. Like, what? That is my bookmark right there.
And I assume that
so I only have like this little piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very thick bookmark.
It is.
Well, I guess let's stay on theme in a very weird way, and that is by putting something that I haven't well, I mean, strictly, you know what? No, actually, you know what? Let's go with this one. One that I haven't finished yet, but I'm also in the middle of. Well, past the middle, and that is, I think I'm gonna go with this poster first. I have two posters for this. I'm gonna show you this one first.
Oh, okay.
It is a TV show that ran for 8 seasons. It's called Dexter. It's relatively well known, but I don't know if you know anything about it. And that is the poster I'm gonna go with.
I don't actually.
If you want to see the other one, I'm.
Wasn't that the one where they like made the publicity stunt of like basic like faking serving human meat, like cooking human meat, like a restaurant or something?
I don't think
they had, like,
so. I mean, that sounds more like a Hannibal thing, but I don't know.
Okay, maybe. So is it not about human meat consumption or any of that sorts?
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, okay. Then I'm misinterpreting the poster completely.
Okay, let's do this, right? How about this? I love this one.
Okay, I have no idea. Like, is it like a detective story about like murder and stuff?
You're getting
like
rather close. Yes, it is about murder and it is about the police. Yeah, I know that's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. So
There's one particular aspect that I would like for you to get, but I also don't
is it
really
like
know.
a forensic people person guy?
Yes.
That just investigates crime scenes with murder.
Yes. Okay. So our
basically a detective story
job
kinda.
is literally a crime scene investigator. Yes. What is maybe something else about our protagonist, whose name, by the way, is, as you might have been able to infer, Dexter? What do you think there is to say about Dexter besides the fact that he is a crime scene investigator? Is there maybe some other notable thing about him?
I might be remembering a different show, but wasn't this the one where he was like he had like a split personality type of deal going on?
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
Okay, then I was probably thinking of something else. But like from what I've seen of these types of stories, it's like usually the investigator has some kind of mental gimmick quirk going on, either it being OCD, like some kind of.
Let me see what the official, well, what the synopsis says, but
Okay.
No, the original, please. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I mean, it does kind of give it away, but I can't really. Okay, here's the thing, right? He's smart, he's good looking, and he's got a great sense of humor. He's Dexter Morgan, everyone's favorite serial killer. As a Miami forensics expert, he spends his days solving crimes and nights committing them.
That could have been guessable, yeah, but
I mean, he has blood on his face in the one, which I thought might have been a bit more of a giveaway, but yeah. So the other one
I can see that, yeah.
With the plastic over his face is a reference, I think, to how he generally wraps his victims in plastic as part of like not really leaving any evidence behind. Though it doesn't really look much like that, but I don't know exactly. Maybe it's a thing from a later season as well. I don't know exactly. So, ideas.
I don't know.
He is a serial killer who's also a forensics expert, which helps. And
yeah,
he specifically.
I guess he can leave many, like much fewer traces of himself if he knows what to look for.
Exactly. So generally speaking, the way he kills people is like he kills them in like a room with like all sorts of plastic sheets and everything, and then like he completely cleans it up, dumps the body, and like in theory at least, there's like no evidence left behind at all. Not to mention, no one would even suspect there happened a crime in that exact location in the first place. So one other thing of note is that he does specifically tend to kill, murderers. He kills murderers. Oftentimes, or most of the time, ones that actually, pretty much usually the idea is ones that got away with it, right? So his whole shtick is that he kills killers. And I mean, there's a lot more to the story, of course. It ran for 8 seasons, right? It's not literally just that premise. But, he works with the police. His father used to be a detective. His sister works for the police. Well, she doesn't start out being a detective, but she later becomes one. And so, like, his whole thing is, like, trying to not be found out by his colleagues, basically, that he's a serial killer. There's a couple things about that, and then also just, balancing work and killing and life and, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Probably not my type of show, but let's stay on topic of.
I mean, we do have pretty similar tastes for the most part, or in a lot of ways. I personally am enjoying it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you would also. This is one that's definitely not within my core interests, so it's a bit harder to say for sure. What do you want to go with next?
Let's stay on topic of killing things and go with Attack on Titan.
Okay, out of the ones that let's see, this is the picture you provided.
Yep.
Out of all the ones that you've picked, this is definitely the one I know the most about. So Attack on Titan is
and that is what has me intrigued.
Is a manga and anime about these things called Titans. You can see one on the cover right there, and so there is these people. They're they're human beings that live in this city, and that city is assaulted by Titans on a, I believe, somewhat regular basis. I'm not saying they're like literally at regular level, but like it's rather commonplace. And I believe our protagonists are, well, like that one person that is on this cover here, the ones that are fighting the Titans with, I know they zipline a lot through the air and they have, well, evidently knives. Swords, I guess. I don't know. Weapons. And they kill Titans to defend I want to say village. I think it's more like your actual like town or city even. But I believe that is like the main plot of the show. I believe I've seen somewhere that there's a later twist where it actually turns out that I don't know how much of this I should spoil, but that our protagonist, I believe like the literal main character, actually can turn into a Titan. And I believe that might be the guy who's on the cover, which means that there might actually be two Titans on the cover, kind of. As in the human guy on the cover.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much all I know about it. I mean, I assume it's a combination of personal drama and having to deal with like the Titans and making sure they don't break the walls down. I believe there's multiple layers of walls, but that thing.
So
people hunting Titans, which are basically like big, weird-looking people.
So, yes, that is their main point of why they even try to get inside the walls. So, the world. Wait, let me just read the synopsis. It is quite a bit longer than the one for 1984, but Just go with it. Hundreds of years ago, horrifying creatures which resembled humans appeared. These mindless towering giants called Titans proved to be an existential threat, as they preyed on whatever humans they could find in order to satisfy a seemingly unending appetite. Unable to effectively combat the Titans, mankind was forced to barricade themselves within large walls surrounding what may very well be humanity's last safe haven in the world. In the present day, life within the walls has finally found peace, since the residents have not dealt with Titans for many years, being slightly over 100 years. Aaron Yeager, Mika Sakerman, and Armin Arlert are 3 young children who dream of experiencing all that the world has to offer, having grown up hearing stories of the wonders beyond the walls. But when the state of tranquility is suddenly shattered by the attack of a massive 60-meter Titan, they quickly learn just how cruel the world can be. On that day, Aaron makes a promise to himself that he will do whatever it takes to eradicate every single Titan off the face of the earth, with the hope that one day humanity will once again be able to live outside the walls without fear. Yeah. So,
I mean, that's basically what I said, minus the part that there was a period of peace.
So, basically, there's 3 big walls. I think the layer like onions in layers, each being a circle, smaller than the other ones. I think the outer wall has a diameter of I think it was the radius of roughly 1,000 kilometers.
That's pretty big.
Or something. Yes, and the wall is 50 meters tall, which is quite a bit.
Yes.
So, and as you said, Aaron Yeager turns out to be able to transform into a Titan. And yes, that is, I think, the guy on the cover. And
I mean,
all of that. So, and all of that plot twist that you mentioned is somewhere in the middle of season 1.
Oh, okay, so it's not
the anime has 4 seasons.
So it's not like that deep of a spoiler.
Yes, no, not at all. It's more or less common knowledge, but not really, but yeah.
I think that's the thing, right? If I'm talking about something that I haven't seen, I don't know how much of it I'm actually spoiling.
Yep. So, yeah, there's lots more plot twists happening later on that all make sense, in my opinion, which is why I like the show very much. And the best part is all of these plot twists are hinted pretty much from the beginning of the show.
Huh?
But you just don't notice them.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I used to just think, yeah, it's just some anime logic inconsistency. I may ignore that. But no, every little inconsistency is not really an inconsistency. It is hinting at something, which I've noticed while rewatching the whole show.
That's pretty cool. Maybe I should watch it at some point. I know it was really
I really don't want to spoil anymore.
But yeah, no, that does sound kind of interesting. I love how this has just become us convincing each other to watch cool shows, which I'm all for. Or well, actually,
yeah.
Well, 1984 is a book, but you get the idea.
The book is also very good.
Yeah. My next one. I just really liked this for the amount of information that you're getting is not very big. But
oh no.
So there's this TV show that actually I'm not gonna go too deep into the actual episode by episode what happens when I explain it later, and you don't have to either. Well, I mean, I guess you can guess as much as you want. This is a show called Yellow Jackets. The first season is just about close to being done, so like 8 out of 10 episodes have aired. So like this is a really new thing. And
yeah,
what does this title and image tell you about this show?
Huh. So I do not know if Yellow Jacket refers to the insect on the image or people actually wearing yellow jackets. Okay,
so for context, because I assume most native English speakers would, or a lot of native English speakers will probably know this, a yellow jacket is a type of wasp.
Okay. So it probably does kind of, at least in part, refer to the insect. So, going off of the blood on the image, I feel like there's people fighting in the show. I don't know. Again, like, kind of get that dystopian vibe, like maybe not as harsh as the other two dystopian shows we've discussed, like just dystopian stories we've talked about.
Yeah, I think everyone knew what you meant.
Yeah, I feel like this show is like about some group of people probably wearing yellow jackets, but probably more so metaphorically, that they're like not always wearing actual yellow jackets, that have, I don't know, some I don't know, like,
I don't care that much about the aesthetic. This is a bit more about the premise.
Yeah, no, I know. I just have nothing to go off of.
Like, just give me something. What is it? What do you think of when you see this image? Because I know that I certainly thought of something when I saw this image, and well, I mean that was wrong, but like, you know, I'm just curious.
No, people fighting or something, maybe. Okay,
so what I thought when I saw this, is I thought this was like sort of, you know, like The Birds, but with wasps. Right? It's like, oh yeah, like there's like some sort of like post-apocalyptic wasp plague or something, which is also totally wrong. But that's what I kind of hoping was you were gonna go there.
That type of genre exists too. Yeah,
because there literally is.
I kind of forgot about that.
A wasp on the image, but hey, so turns out I didn't
think of that. Yep.
I haven't noticed a single one of those actually being in that show, as in wasps. I'm sure they might have gotten one in there here and there just as a visual nod that I just didn't pay that much attention to. But it's not what the show is about at all, which is the funny part. Let's see. I'm just gonna. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna read you the premise. Equal parts survival epic, psychological horror story, and coming-of-age drama, Yellow Jackets is the saga of a team of wildly talented high school girls soccer players who become the unlucky survivors of a plane crash deep in the remote northern wilderness. The series chronicles their descent from a complicated but thriving team to savage clan while also tracking lives they've attempted to piece back together nearly 25 years later, proving that the past is never really past and what began out in the wilderness is far from over. Okay, Yellow Jackets is the name of their team. Like, that is about the extent of which that title matters. So it takes place mostly in 1996 and 2021, which, as you might have been able to piece together, is 25 years apart. 2021 being the present day, like literally, well, I mean, it's 2022 now, but being the present day and 1996 being when they crashed. So it's about how it's basically how they survive in the more or less wilderness, like being completely separated from society. And there's a lot of mysteries that I don't quite know what to think of, because like it's a mystery, right? Like I don't know, man. The first is almost over, and they have almost revealed nothing. I want to know more. It's really good, I think. Like I quite enjoyed it. It took me a second to get into it. Like I think it's like the second or third episode where it like more clicked to me. But even in the first episode, I was curious enough to get me along. And I think it is mostly thriving on the mystery part, where you mostly just want to find out what happened, right? And it like switches.
So like, is the mystery part about like why the plane crashed, or like is there something supernatural about the forest, like the wilderness they've landed in?
So the plane crash itself is presumably innocuous, but for all I know, there could be something more to it. But it's more about they're always hinting at like stuff that they've done while there, like in the present day storyline. That is always being hinted at, like that they did some terrible things, and they did say something here about what is it, a Savage Clan, and they like had one scene I think in the first episode where like they showed some of that.
Oh, okay. So they crash landed in like 2021.
No. Okay,
and not in 1996.
They crashed in 96. They crashed in 96, and they were found, I think, in 97 or 98. And we're now seeing them in both 96 and in 21. So... we don't really know what happened after they crashed, except for as far as they've shown us, which I think is thus far not that deep into it. I think they said they were lost for 19 months until they were found again. And, of course, some of them have died in the meantime. And we're following some of them in the present day, but it's not entirely clear if there have been other ones that survived or not. You know when someone has died when you see them die on screen, but someone has survived if you've seen them in the present day. But there are still a lot of them where we just don't know exactly what happened. And whether there's something supernatural going on about the forest is a really good question that I would really like to have answered. Because I thought at first it was not, but now I'm not sure. Which is one of those things that I really love, by the way. Right? Like, those shows where I'm like, is this taking place in a world where the supernatural exists? Is this taking place in a more grounded world? I'm not entirely sure. I really like that. There's another show that does it very well called Evil, where like the first season, they pretty much always almost make you think that something's going on, and then they have a perfectly rational explanation. Sometimes a little bit far-fetched, but usually reasonable. And it's like, someone didn't think of that. And then, like, but then maybe there's still something more.
That sounds interesting. I'm at least watch the trailer. Might even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. I think we should probably, given the time, do one more and then maybe do this topic again another time.
Sure.
I'm saying one more because
sounds good to me.
3 and you did 2.
Yeah.
So,
let's go with also in the mystery type of genre with potentially supernatural stuff going on. Made in Abyss.
I believe that is, well, I mean, I pretty much know that it's this one.
It's the second image, yes. Yeah.
I can tell you that it's this one because that is the only one that I wouldn't have known what it is, because most of the other ones basically said what it is on the tin.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's supernatural stuff going on if this image is to be trusted. That is not a normal person.
That is not a normal person.
Those are not normal fungi? Are those mushrooms? They're shaped like mushrooms.
It does look like it, yeah.
But I'm also seeing what looks like a bark texture, which makes them look more like trees. Okay. Anime can get pretty weird. And what did you say it was called?
Made in Abyss.
Well, that tells me just about nothing. Okay, so something was made in an abyss. I'm gonna go. Okay, they're dropping down there. One of them looks surprised. Actually, I'm not sure if they're dropping. It's something standing up to the edge of the image. I'm gonna go with. They are explorers, like the two on the top, and they have found a chasm that leads them to maybe the Hollow Earth, maybe another dimension, that is inhabited by bunny people, among others, and that has relatively weird fauna, and they are trying to explore this new environment while making new friends along the way.
I mean, that's not entirely untrue. So let me read the synopsis. The Abyss, a hole of unprecedented depth, one young girl and a robot brave its dangers to find the truth. There was a dash in between, so like I don't know how to properly read that one because it just abruptly ends. So, the town of Orth is a special one, as it is built around the edges of the massive abyss, a wonder which has never been fully explored. Those who venture too far down never return, but those brave enough to traverse its territories are known as cave raiders, and are heralded as legends. Within this town lives a young girl called Rico, the child of one of the most famous cave raiders of all time who disappeared on an expedition many years ago. One day, Rico's life changes when she meets a strange robot called Reg, who seems to appear from within the abyss. Believing this to be a sign from her mother, stuck at the bottom of the abyss, Rico descends into its depths with Reg, ready to confront all dangers within it.
That sounded kind of like what I said.
Yes, kind of. So, there's no alternate dimensions going on there.
I did say Hollow Earth was the other option.
Kind of
closer.
Sorta, but like not really a Hollow Earth, just like big cavern with stuff going on there. One special thing about the Abyss is that you can descend freely, but if you try to ascend, it just kind of physically hurts you.
Okay.
To like sometimes to the point of just like plainly killing you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say without.
Don't come back.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this one was gotta be the hardest one, right? Like, this is the one that I have literally zero frame of reference for out of all the ones you picked, and
you got it pretty well.
That image is not giving me a lot. But
that is true.
The moment I heard Abyss, I was like, that has some associations.
Quick warning though for people who might want to watch this. The show gets really, really dark relatively quickly. So keep that in mind. It is not for everyone.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're wondering about darkness, like literally every single thing that I've said, like, what did I say? As I said, Altered Carbon, I had Dexter, and I had Yellow Jackets. Yeah, no, I mean, those are dark. And I'm sure.
I mean, they're dark in a different sense from what I. I mean, yes, it is a dark setting, but I wouldn't really, at least from the ones I had, wouldn't really call them that dark with like the actions that take place, like the imagery that happens there.
Fair enough. I mean, I literally had one about murder, so like, there's gonna be some level of darkness. I'm just quickly gonna, there we go, save the document with all the notes that I had for other things that you might want to guess in the future, because I'm sure we'll do that topic again.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Facts of the Week. So, hey, what is the Fact of the Week?
Right, Facts of the Week. So in 1859,
that makes kind of a difference.
A 2-hour telegraph. Yes, quite a big difference. A 2-hour telegraph conversation between Portland and Boston was able to be had without the use of any battery power. This was due to an aurora borealis generating enough electric current in the telegraph wires. It happened.
Aurora borealis, this time of the year, entirely located in your telegram wires. Okay, no, bad joke.
Yeah, so the telegraph wires happen to be like perfectly aligned to induce enough power from the aurora borealis. Well, like pretty much every other line that existed back then was like basically defunct during the time.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, just for technical accuracy, I'm just going to say that the aurora did not cause that. There would have been presumably solar flare or something that would have had an electromagnetic field that then both caused the aurora and the effect in the wires, but yes.
Yes.
Because the aurora itself
basically is the same.
Yeah, the aurora itself is just the visual result of
visual part, yes.
But I just want to say it before someone nitpicks it. I mean, I just want to nitpick it, okay?
Fine.
Okay, your Fact of the Week is really cool. My Fact of the Week is a lot more mundane, but there's a story that goes with it, so, let's see. You want to do the fact first or the story first?
Let's do the story.
Okay, it's not that much of a deep story, but here I was, right? And it was around Christmas. I think it was shortly after Christmas. So looking outside the window, and there I see it. A squirrel. In the backyard. And like, that squirrel looks weird. What's wrong with the squirrel? Why is it so grey? It's not a grey squirrel, right? Those obviously exist around here as well, which is a whole other ecological thing, but it's a red squirrel, but it's sort of grey about it. And I'm like, what happened here, right? Is it like a really old squirrel? Is it like half red, half grey, like, genetically speaking? Like what? I don't even know if they can cross, I didn't look that up.
Yeah.
Turns out...
Don't they kind of change the color during seasons?
Yep. That's what I figured out as well. So, turns out, that's just what they look like in winter. It's their winter coat. So... let me actually make use of this whole feature where I can show you my screen. There you go. That's what that looked like. I mean, that's not an image that I took. This is from Wikipedia. I was a bit further away from the squirrel. I would not have been able to get that good of a picture. But yeah, that's what a squirrel looks like with their winter coat, and that's what a squirrel looks like otherwise. A red squirrel, specifically. It's like...
Interesting. Yeah.
A lot less grey. I mean, I don't know what exactly if there's like a specific purpose for that. If there is one, I would suspect they're having to do with it blending into the snow more. But I was like, what the? And so I was curious, and then I looked it up. And yeah, so the story is that, and the fact is that it's the winter goat.
I'd be misremembering, but I think I had that in 5th grade biology class, maybe.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I thought it too. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, this is weird. Because I somehow had gone through all 23 and a half years of my life. I know that half is very important at that age.
Yep.
No, it's pretty much exactly 23 and a half at that point, so that's why I mentioned it. And I had not known that. And I was like, why is this squirrel so great? And yeah, then I was curious, I looked it up, and then I wanted to share it with people. And now I've shared it with people.
Nice.
That's all there is to that. So that was my fact, which brings us to the halftime show, which I totally have already pulled up.
Nice.
As I was saying,
prepared as always.
And we're once again doing, can you guess the language, because we enjoyed it so much last time.
It was fun.
What difficulty do we want to do?
Wait, which one did we do last time? Medium, wasn't it?
I want to say medium, yes.
I feel like that was kind of the right difficulty.
So we just want to do it again?
Do that again. Yes.
Και όπως ακούσατε, αυτό είναι το σήμα μας για την αθλητική μας ενότητα, το αθλητικό κεφάλαιο της εκπομπής μας. Βεβαίως έχουμε να δεσπόζει το αποτέλεσμα και ο αποκλεισμός του ΠΑΟΚ από την συνέχεια του Champions League, αφού έφερε...
Okay, so I do not know what Faroese and Nepali sound like at all. Don't even know, like, roughly the geography of those languages where they are spoken.
Well, Nepal, I think, is near Tibet. Like, that's...
Tibet. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's Greek.
Okay, so the Faroe Islands, I believe, are part of one of the Nordic countries. I want to say Norway, but it might be one of the others.
Okay.
So I assume that Faroese is a North Germanic language. That is, admittedly, just a guess. And that is not what this sounded like to me.
Yeah. Not at all.
By process of elimination, I think we're going to go with Nepali.
I would go with Nepal, yeah.
And it was Greek.
Oh, it was actually Greek. What?
Honestly, I did not expect it to be Greek either.
Not at all.
I wasn't as certain as you. My thought process was mostly, I'm pretty sure I can exclude Faroese despite not knowing what it is. But I had like a reasonable inclination there. And I was like, I'm leaning more Nepali than Greek. So it's not like I was thinking it was Greek, otherwise I would have told you, but that is okay.
Det sier talsperson for naboene på Sørbråten ved Utøya, Maria Holtane Berge. I dag kom det frem at staten har foreslått å skrote det planlagte minnestedet etter...
I have a pretty reasonable guess as to what it might be.
So, this is a bit weird to me, because I'm hearing a lot of, like, those U sort of sounds and whatnot, which makes me almost lean more towards Norwegian. At the very first moment, I thought it was more Slovak, maybe, because it was maybe Slavic, but I think it's Norwegian, isn't it?
I think it is. It sounded kind of Germanic to me.
So, yeah,
Not
exactly, right?
At all Slavic.
I mean,
yeah.
The thing is, I couldn't understand it well enough to say for sure that it's Germanic, and I don't have a reference frame for Slavic, really. So, Maltese, if I'm not mistaken, is actually a Semitic language, as in, it's related to Arabic. And it's spoken in Malta. It's basically, to my understanding, Arabic with a lot of Spanish influences.
That's interesting, but good to know. Yeah.
I just was like, it comes up, I wanted to. I did so many language facts last time, I figured I was going to just keep doing that. Oh boy.
waxaa stuudioga nala fadhiya cabdiraxmaan jaamac cusmaan oo loo yaqaana raas iyo xuseen harakow oo iyagu ka mid ah madaxda jaaliyadaha kala duwan ee magaaladan. Marka hore waxaan rabaa dabcan aan maanta
So I assume we're thinking Urdu, aren't we?
Yeah, Urdu or Somali. I do not really know what the languages sound like. I don't think it's Armenian.
I was thinking Urdu. I don't have any reference frame for Somali, which makes it difficult because it could sound like anything.
Yeah.
It's like... well, we're doing worse this time. Ooh, okay.
This one should be fairly easy.
This should be
hopefully.
doable.
I've met people under pressure.
So yeah, that was easy. I did not need to confirm that with you.
No.
I think it was. I want to say it was maybe even a bit British. It certainly wasn't American. But yeah, it was English. This is weirdly not going to be easier for Tulsa, I think.
Yeah.
Ƙauyen Jan ƙasa na kimanin tazarar kilomita 10 daga titin Kaduna zuwa Kaciya. Ba cikakkiyar kyau hanyar shiga ƙauyen ke da ita ba. A ƙauyen babu wurin shan magani, babu ma ko ɗaya da ke kusa da ita.
And I think we think that is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be easy mode! It's okay? This one's all you. I'm just gonna say in advance, this one's all you.
Sure.
Sauf que ce qu'il faut comprendre, c'est que moi, je suis convaincu, justement.
That sounds French.
I'm pretty sure there was Québécois French, to be precise. Japonska! Like, fucking hell. It's one hell of an accent. This is not from France French, I'm pretty sure. I want to say it's Québécois. Okay. I think Arcadian sounds a bit different again. I don't know. Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
4 दिन जारी रहने वाले इस शो में दुनिया की बेशुमार सकाफतों की नुमाइंदगी हो रही है और कंपनियां मुल्क में बनने वाली अशिया को की मार्केट में पहुंचाने और फैलाने के लिए पुरअज़म हैं। कराची की नॉरस कंपनी की नुमाइंदगी करने वाले वहीद जफर ने यहां आने के बारे में अपने ख्यालात का इजहार करते हुए कहा। चावल के बरामदकार रिज़कॉम इंटरनेशनल के रिजवान रज़ाक ने भी अपने ख्यालात का इजहार कुछ
So I'm fairly confident it's not Russian.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I'm sort of leaning towards Urdu.
So Urdu is spoken
but
in
to
India,
be honest, I have not heard Urdu.
Guess what, in Thailand. I was also leaning towards Urdu. Yes. It's getting more difficult.
अपनी छाप छोड़ते हैं, लेकिन भारत के बिहार प्रदेश में परीक्षा में सामूहिक नकल की तस्वीर भारत की शिक्षा की अलग कहानी पेश करती है। हमारे साथ हैं शिक्षक, जेंडर हिस्टोरियन, सामाजिक मामलों की जानकार डॉक्टर सैयद मुबीन ज़ेहरा।
So do we think Sayyid here is from from India or from Armenia? Armenia. What does Armenia even belong to? Like, so sort of linguistically speaking.
I do not know.
I mean, but thinking Hindi, right? Are everything Hindi?
I think, yeah. I do not know what Macedonian sounds like, so I can't really.
Oh yeah. Well, Macedonian, I believe, and I'm not perhaps confident, but I believe is a Slavic language.
Oh, if it is a Slavic language, then it's definitely not Macedonian.
I mean, that far I would have also been, but I'm not 100% confident. But Macedonia is North Macedonia these days. The former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia is north of Greece. That's what I can tell you about its geography.
Okay. Let me pull up Google Maps.
And I'm gonna go with Hindi.
Yeah.
Another one.
Nice.
Yeah, so they had this whole dispute with Greece where there's a region in Greece called Macedonia, and basically immediately north of that is the country of Macedonia. And so they called themselves Macedonia, but Greece didn't like that. and there was this whole thing, and which is also why they were sometimes referred to as the former South Republic of Macedonia, which is where that comes from. And then they eventually, to get along with Greece, I think it was something, I don't know if it was NATO or UN related, where they were like, they had to get along with Greece, so they just renamed themselves to North Macedonia.
Okay.
Kind of like how the largest Luxembourg is not in Luxembourg, but in is it Belgium, I think. There's a Luxembourg in Belgium, or was it? No, wait. Is it Netherlands? Where's Luxembourg, anyways? I think it's right in between. Well, not in between, but kind of. Where like the actual Luxembourg itself is smaller than like the region in the other country that's called that.
Yeah,
this
I
one
didn't know.
This one should be easy, right? Like.
Yeah. This.
O último duelo foi na Copa do Mundo de 2006, na Alemanha. Adriano e Fred marcaram os gols da vitória por 2-0 em Munique. A seleção australiana, o Socceroos, é uma das 5 já classificadas para a Copa do Mundo de 2014.
I'm leaning towards Portuguese.
I'm leaning towards Uzbek. It sounded kind of Slavic from the rhythm of the language.
Could you understand a single word that they were saying?
Kinda, sort of, like not really, no.
Let's try that again.
I mean, it could as well be.
Na Copa do Mundo de 2006, na Alemanha. Adriano e Fred marcaram os gols da vitória por 2-0 em Munique. A seleção australiana, o Socceroos, é uma das 5 já classificadas para a Copa do Mundo de 2014, juntamente com o Brasil, Japão, Irã e Coreia.
I'm pretty sure it's Portuguese.
Yeah.
So
it does sound like Portuguese.
Okay, I think what it is, Sergey, I think it is European Portuguese. And European Portuguese is notorious for sounding phonetic, like just, what is it, what's the word I'm looking for?
Rhythmically?
Yeah, but also from just the general, like, the sounds that they use and that sort of stuff, they do sound kind of like Russian. So if you speak neither Russian or Portuguese, they're gonna sound somewhat similar. But I thought I heard some of the numbers, right? So like, there was like cinco, and I think someone said mundo, which means world, and there was like seis and whatnot. And then I think the second time we listened to it a little bit longer, they said Brasil, which is pretty much how Brazilians say that. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's Portuguese. Yeah.
Yep.
So that one was a little bit of a trick question in that sense, where it sounds a little bit Slavic in its pronunciation, but yeah, it's... Oh boy.
Still feels like winter for many people.
I mean, that was kind of like the hope, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we have 4 very different languages again, which should be helpful.
Vyörypilvi varoittaa jo ulkomuodollaan, joka on selvästi uhkaava. Heti tulee mieleen, että se kenties voi tuoda mukanaan rajun sateen ja ukkosen. Usein vyörypilvi tulee niin laajalla rintamalla, että pelon tunne on väistämätön. Pilvi kun lähestyessään tuntuu täyttävän lähes koko taivaan.
Sanoit tuossa, että kuuropilvi jono, onko se siis jonkunlaisessa jonossa siellä, kun se saapuu? Miten pitkälle siihen taakse, jos nyt ajatellaan, että sitä pilveä katselee edestäpäin ja se lähestyy sieltä uhkaavasti, niin kuinka paljon sitä pilveä on siellä takana, jota ei...
I thought this was going to be easier. It's not Russian. I'm pretty sure it's not Haitian Creole. Haitian Creole is another Creole. I did that spiel last time, didn't I? Where I explained how it's pretty much like French. So that leaves us with 2 very distinct languages: Norwegian, which is a North Germanic language, and Finnish, which is, again, I think the group's called Finno-Ugaric language. So it's pretty much an isolate. Well, Estonian is very similar, and I think Hungarian's like loosely in that category. My instinct was Norwegian. But I'm surprised at how few of the words I could pick out, given that I speak German, which is not that closely related, but still kind of closely related.
Can you play that again for a bit?
Sure.
Vyörypilvi varoittaa jo ulkomuodollaan, joka on selvästi uhkaava. Heti tulee mieleen, että se kenties voi tuoda mukanaan rajun sateen ja ukkosen. Usein vyörypilvi tulee niin laajalla rintamalla.
I mean, it sounded like they said something like...
I don't know.
In the beginning it said something like...
Vyörypilvi varoittaa jo ulkomuodollaan, joka on selvästi uhkaava.
It sounds to me like she's saying something like, uns selber die Aufgabe, us ourselves the task, which, if we're going off like German. So
okay, yeah, no.
I don't know if I'm just hearing sounds and I'm making words out of them, or if those are actually the words that are being said. But if those are the words that are being said, it's probably not Finnish.
Yeah.
The things I have no idea what Finnish sounds like.
From your explanation, that I probably is Norwegian, but like to me, I'm kind of sort of leaning towards Finnish, but I honestly do not know.
It is Finnish. Fuck. Yeah. This one's on me. Yeah, I think we probably spent enough time on this. I was gonna suggest playing another round, but also like time-wise, it's probably not a great idea. I like this game. I genuinely like playing this, which is why
it is really yes. I do like it.
I wanted to make another round happen, but also like that's not. Philosophical questions. That's the second topic. We're starting with question number 8 of the philosophical questions from conversationsworld.com. Sergey, why do we dream?
I don't know. Probably to process what happened to us so far, mostly during the day, but
so
usually like within the last, I don't know, like week or two.
I'm not an expert, but the processing information that happened, especially over the day since the last time you slept, though also over longer periods of time to some lesser degree, is also what aligns best with my understanding of the subject. I also do know that your brain is definitely like saves information better after you slept. So like there was this thing where like if you learn something, you'll do better at remembering it. You might do better at recreating it or remembering it after you've slept than before, despite the fact that it was more recent when it was before. And you can even influence your brain a little bit in what to remember, what to forget. Was an interesting test done where they had like word lists, and some were marked like forget, some were marked remember, and they had people do a test of just write down any one of those remember, no matter what they were marked. One group before it, like basically like after a certain period of time, and another group I think after the same period of time but having slept in between. And the group that had slept had remembered more of the ones that were marked as remember and fewer of the ones that were marked as forget. Where
interesting.
I don't know the exact stats or anything, but I do know that there was something where the group that had not slept had pretty much equal chance of remembering a word that was marked to forget or to remember, where the group that had slept had a much higher percentage of just the remember ones.
That's interesting.
And while it doesn't directly speak to dreams, it does kind of pretty much definitively prove. And again, I don't know like the quality of that study or anything. I just have heard of it. But assuming that is true, that does provide pretty hard evidence that your brain definitely processes information while you're asleep. And since dreams oftentimes relate to events of the day, it makes a lot of sense that that would in fact be the case. Especially since it's also something that I believe is generally assumed within the scientific community. And that's one of those things where like we maybe take those questions a bit of a different way than some people would, but that's probably
most definitely we do.
That'll be a much more reasonable answer. Where does your self-worth come from?
That is a weird question.
I know. So, I know that I used to think very highly of my intelligence. I mean, it's not that I don't anymore, but I try to not be a dick about it. Like I certainly used to be. But I think a lot of the sort of I mean, it's not really self-worth in a sense, but like, it comes just from accepting who you are and being comfortable with it, right? That's where like that's not really your worth, but it's, I mean, self-worth, I'm thinking like self-confidence to some degree. And that is where that I would say comes from. It's a lot of just acceptance in a way. If you want to like,
acceptance does describe it quite well. Yeah.
So Because, I mean, I've certainly noticed that in terms of confidence, it's definitely one of those things where genuine confidence just comes from accepting who you are and being okay with it. And that certainly has made me a lot more comfortable. And I mean, it's not that I was ever like particularly bad at it, but I have certainly gotten even better at it. How will humans as a species go? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, yeah, I do agree with you. That pretty much described it.
How will humans as a species go extinct?
Way rather slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it depends in a lot of ways on when we go extinct, right? So, if it happens anytime soon, it could probably be to the ecological and societal collapse. The consequence of our actions and all that. Well, not ours personally, which is the particularly tragic part about this, but
yeah,
that thing. If it's more long term, it would have to be. If it's more long term, I could totally see us eventually build self-sufficient extraterrestrial colonies. Now, the self-sufficient part is the one that was going to take the longest for sure. Even if we have colonies, they're probably going to have regular shipments in the beginning. If we get to that stage, I'm going to say that humans will go extinct as far as we'll diversify to such a point where we will possibly become separate species. Especially if we live on multiple planets, because there's different environmental pressures. And at that point, I'm not sure if you can count that as humans going extinct, but like Homo sapiens as a species might cease to exist just by being supplanted by whatever the next step is. Which is a very optimistic viewpoint, I understand, but I don't think it's that unrealistic. Especially like if we still exist in 1,000 years, that will probably happen eventually. I mean, speciation will probably take quite a long time until we can, but I could see that possibly being accelerated by changing environments, right? Where it's like, if we exist on Mars, we might evolve faster because the environment is so much more different that, I mean, the rate of mutation is probably gonna, oh god, no. The rate of mutation might actually increase because of more radiation, which is not necessarily always a good thing, but also genetic engineering, right? Like, that's the other thing. Genetic engineering might really speed up speciation.
It might, yeah.
Because realistically, from a natural standpoint, you're not going to get humans to split in different species within the next couple thousand years. And that's kind of what it sounded like what I was suggesting. Which, I mean, of course I didn't give a time frame, but once they're spread out enough, it seems hard to assume that the entire species will die off. Because, like, if we're... If we're spread across multiple
Except
planets,
if we're going for, like, the super long game of, like, universe death, then, yeah.
I think it's very possible
that might happen.
Somehow manage to get killed off, even if they are intergalactic, before the heat death of the universe, because that's very far in the future. Like, even on the evolutionary biology scale, that is insane. But, if you say, like, okay, we have a colony on Mars, we maybe have something on the moon, we have something on, what was it? There was one of the gas giants, so they were saying we might be able to live in the clouds there, which is a really cool idea.
Venus, not gas giant.
I'm not a gas... Oh no, right, it just has a very thick atmosphere, it's not actually a gas giant. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple different ideas where it's like, oh yeah, like, we could live there, and it's like, if we get spread across the solar system, the thing that would have to kill us would be something that happens to our sun, right? Or on every single planet where we live. Also, I think Titan is in contention for a possible place to live. It's one of the moons of... I don't know what exactly, but it's a moon. And... So,
Jupiter?
I mean, it's pretty much always Jupiter or Saturn, isn't it, when it comes to moons?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely, once we are, like, off-planet on, like, a sustained, like, where we're not relying on Earth anymore for, like, the human survival specifically, like, that is gonna be pretty difficult to kill us. And then if we actually get, like, some sort of, like, light speed, or faster than light travel, and we're talking about going to different solar systems, that point it gets really hard, Like, how are we gonna die? Because the Andromeda Galaxy collides with the Milky Way? Like, if that's what kills us as a species, I think we did pretty well.
I mean, it probably will not really affect us that much. Like, us as in human species, not us as in we two.
I mean, the two of us are gonna be way dead by then. But, like, the thing about, I don't know what exactly happens on a galactical collision to the like individual planets and stars, but it sounds pretty gnarly. Just like galaxies. I know it's not as like as it sounds, but more like a slowly, gradually moving together. But I assume there could be some sort of collision.
I mean, it is still a really, really fast collision. Just kind of slow on the galactic scale. But yeah, and usually there's no actual collisions happening there. It's mostly just because it's like the most part is just empty space. They just zip right through each other, affecting rotationally each other. Then like stars being ripped out of. Yes. But like you first gotta like. I mean, first they're gonna like go through each other, ripping stars or star systems out of the orbit of the galaxy, like creating this like cloud of stars, basically. Well, like quite a bit of stars still in a roughly similar orbit. Like a lot of stars just spread out. Then like go a bit further. Like the Andromeda Galaxy gonna go a bit further away, then come back and like pendle itself into a stable.
I think the black holes eventually start spinning around one another and start slowly merging together.
Yeah.
Those are the supermassive black holes at the centers of the respective galaxies. Yeah, but because, like, if we are gonna go to another galaxy, which is, like, a huge move, then it's probably gonna be that one, and that's also, like, the one that's gonna be destroyed, or affected at least, at the same time as ours. So, like, going to Andromeda is not gonna save us from the Andromeda Milky Way collision. For obvious reasons.
If we don't go to Andromeda, Andromeda will come to us.
Yay! Is it possible to live a normal life and never tell a lie?
Possibly, but not realistically.
Okay, so first of all, define lie. So
yeah,
is it possible to live a normal life without ever telling something untrue? No. Is it possible to live a normal life without ever intentionally saying something untrue? Maybe, but I'm not sure if it would still qualify as normal in that sense, because it probably does quite affect you a lot. Like, I consider myself someone who doesn't lie a lot, which I'm sure most people do, so I don't know how accurate that is, but I don't know how it would, like, I mean, there's a lot of those little things, right, which, like, you might not even register as a lie that much, but, like, you know, how are you doing? Yeah, fine. Right, like, that could already be a lie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And, like, those sort of exchanges are pretty much a part of a normal life in some way. So, I mean, you could probably say, and just get away with that, but... And there's other situations too. Okay, I'm going to say this much. I don't think you can live a normal life without not inadvertently telling a lie just because it's in human nature, right? So, unless you were somehow actively prevented from lying, you probably inevitably would. If you're like incapable of lying, would you still be able to live a normal life? I'm not sure if we're qualified as normal, but you might be able to live a like somewhat normal adjacent life. But even that, I think, could be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
You know what? I think this is enough. I think we'll do songs, and I think that's enough. We did a couple questions.
Sure.
We did a lot of the other stuff. We spent some time on this. So okay. What is your song of the week? Wait, actually, I'm supposed to do this. So, what is the song of the week? There we go.
Okay, my song of the week is Envy Baby by, or rather a cover by Will Stetson from the original Canaria.
Down it goes, ropes like balance on her leading all the way. Jumping lady towards the lighter, frighter, lovely body shatters all in shame. That's the way, see, high without a care, I'm hold me, just a prisoner of hold me. Love the scene is always on, never retreats. Hey, it's so amazing. La la la, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm relatively neutral about this one. So, my song of the week is called Rockstar, and it's by everyone's favorite rock band. Well, yeah, no, let's go with that. Nickelback.
I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I'd even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop bars and driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. Well, I'll stay skinny cause we just won't eat and we'll hang out in the coolest bars.
Yeah. So obviously the favorite band thing is a joke. Most people don't like Nickelback, which, like, a lot of the songs are decent. Like, I don't think they have any, like, incredible songs, but they have a lot of good ones, I think. So, you know, there's that.
Yeah.
I would say this
one was definitely, at the very least, decent.
I think one of the bigger criticisms that I also hear about Nickelback is that, like, a lot of their songs sound very samey. But also, like, consistency is not necessarily a bad thing, and, like, a lot of artists have a lot of songs that sound very similar. And oftentimes, artists that will depart too much from the usual style will oftentimes then be just like for that, because, like, oh yeah, this doesn't look anything like the music of yours that I like. It's like, you know, you can't please people.
I mean, the problem with songs, all the songs sounding kind of the same, that is a problem I have with Volbeat. For me, like, every song just sounds kind of the same.
Yeah, I would say that I think it was the most recent album was a bit different, I think, and I think some of their older stuff is also a bit more different from, like, their what I would consider the usual sound. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of variety in that sense, but I think if you're listening to, like, any one album, you're probably gonna have most songs on that sound very similar. So it's one of those bands that has, in one way, has a consistent sound, the other way, on the other hand, they do go through different phases in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of bands do have that, where they have, like, their, like, one main sound, which, like, a lot of the songs sound like. There's usually a couple of outliers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the thing. And in a way, I like the bands more where I like the songs that are of their usual style, rather than where I like the outliers. Because if I like the outliers, then I don't like that many songs of theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast draws to a close. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of us, subscribe to this channel or to the main channel. More content coming soon. TM. And you know, if you want to talk to us, Discord, did I say like? I said like. Did I say subscribe? I just said subscribe. Did I say comment? Ooh, yeah. Down below and all that. So okay.
That's it.
That's it.